Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and you join me in Nellis Dunes open riding area just outside of Las Vegas, Nevada with this, the 2025 Mercedes-Benz G580. This is the all-electric version of the Mercedes G-Wagon, and there's a reason why I've started this video 360 miles into my 600 plus mile round trip out here to Las Vegas in order to run a package for Indio SCS, because the G-Wagon deserves to be reviewed off-road. So many people are going to purchase these and they're going to use them for daily driving, and so many reviews you see are going to get in them and they're going to say, wow, this thing's really fast, it's really fun, the range isn't very good on the highway, it can do these tank turns, but what it really should be shown is off-road. I've driven this now for 360 miles on mostly highway coming from Southern California, and I'll get right out in front of it. It was probably the most expensive new vehicle I could have taken on this road trip, because not only is it fairly inefficient for an electric vehicle, now mind you, still very energy efficient compared to the gasoline versions of the G-Class, but it's fairly inefficient, and despite having a 116 kilowatt hour battery pack, the cost to fill that battery pack back up with electrons at level 3 charging stations is high. There's no getting around it. I paid about 60 cents per kilowatt hour at most of my charging stops, which means all in, I'll be spending over $200 on this trip from Orange County to Vegas and back, whereas even if I were in the gasoline G-Wagon with premium fuel, I'd probably only be spending about $150. So that's why I didn't start this review on the highway or on the street, but rather out here off-road, because with 4 independent electric motors and over 500 horsepower and 800 pound-feet of torque and a mechanical low range, this is an amazing vehicle for off-roading. And quite frankly, you really shouldn't buy it if you don't plan on at least doing some off-roading. Now, I know many people will, but just like a Jeep Wrangler in the most luxurious sense, this is a vehicle that's made to do off-roading. So let's go do some. Let's explore this off-road area. We'll talk a little bit about this new G-Class, and we'll do some filming on the way back as well. We'll do a little bit of a road trip review on our trip home. I just want you all to know that that's not the point of this vehicle. The point is to be one of the most capable off-roaders on the market and still remarkably comfortable. Looking at about $186,000. It is no secret that this is an expensive toy. It really is. But some people have the means. Bringing it to life here, let's get it back down. Oh, we already are. It stayed in rock mode. That's very nice because we do have it in low range. We've got our off-road cockpit up. Let's bring up our off-road gauge cluster screen as well. There we are. This is something I remember when I was in the TRD Pro products. I was like, why don't I have more information about off-roading? Why don't I have an altimeter, or not an altimeter, but an elevation meter? I guess it would be an altimeter, wouldn't it? Yeah. And information about my tire pressures and a compass and everything. That's what we have here in the G-Class. Now, I will say, the G-Class is not being offered with all-terrain tires yet in G580 form. So we are running on summer tires, and I hope Mercedes is okay with the fact that we are doing this off-roading with these summer tires. So if we have any tight traction situations, that'll probably be the culprit right there. And I'm already seeing that this is a fairly narrow trail. I don't want to slide down and scrape the paint, so we are going to back up and go out another way, because I did get up here, so clearly there are other ways to get down. Now, one of the reasons I love the concept of an electric off-roader is that you're typically going slow and you're outdoors. So I could open up this window here and just kind of enjoy the sounds of nature while I'm doing my off-roading. And I guess by nature, I mean the crunching of rocks. The other thing that's great about this off-road screen is it gives me the ability to turn off my parking sensors with one nice little button press right there. Ford products. For some reason, the parking sensors stay on when you're doing off-roading. I don't quite understand the logic there. The other thing, getting back to the tires, is that these are running pretty high pressure. I think we were at about 42 in the front, 48 in the rear last I checked. So if you were going to be doing a full day of off-roading, I would highly recommend airing down. But considering that we're just doing some exploring and having fun and then heading back out on the road, I'm going to leave them at their set spec. Fixed ride height in the G580, no adaptive air suspension. Let's get that camera going so we can make sure we are clear over top. Yes, we are. Back down we go. Looks like a pretty steep hill. What say you, G-Wagon? Yep, we can tell from the camera we are, ooh, slight rub there, but I am not too concerned because Mercedes has a robust carbon-based skid plate, bash plate under this vehicle, so we shouldn't have to worry about any sort of scraping damaging the battery or the drivetrain components. Woo! Love having that torque. Not only do you have that instant torque with the electric motors, but you also have the ability to simply release the accelerator pedal and have the vehicle slow down very nicely as well. You know, this is a nice open area here to demonstrate the 360-degree turn. I didn't want to be too rough on this car, but this seems like a good place to do it without too many rocks. So, we go right here, press... Actually, wait, no, this is a little trail turn button that helps turn the car. This is the one we want. G-turn. To turn the vehicle, hold the gear shift paddle and depress the accelerator. So we're going to go to the left, and... oh my goodness. That is uncanny. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Let's take a look at the rut we've built, which I can feel driving out of it. Wow, that's fun. That's really fun. Wow, that's pretty tight too. Huh. Okay. Nifty. Let's get this one on. This is supposed to enable some tighter turning by... oh, whoa, yeah, okay. That's really tight. Look at this. If I need to make a little turn here, full crank, and it modulates each wheel individually, again, to kind of slip. Look at that crazy tight turning radius. That's fun. That's really cool. Here's some rock articulations here. We're going to let down slow. Let's bring the camera back up. Make sure we're not crushing anything. It's got a nice hill descent control on its own in low range. So I can kind of just take my foot off the accelerator and let it work its way down. And the other nice thing about off-roading with an electric vehicle is the efficiency. I mean, you're not running some engine, idling it a lot and running it in low gear and using up a bunch of gas and energy just in order to do slow speed stuff. I mean, any experienced off-roader will know that you get horrendous fuel economy when off-roading. But with electric, not nearly as big of an issue. I've used 2% state of charge since I got here, and I've been messing around for a little bit of time now. It's nothing. I don't know, this is interesting. I don't think we're going to be taking that. Holy cow. Is that a route? Can you imagine if you weren't paying attention and just accidentally hit that? Oof. All right. Well, I think the G class could do it, but I am not going to push it for respect for Mercedes and this vehicle. Here we go in the sand, another little G turn to the right this time. That's so silly. Mercedes is good at that. I mean, it's functional. It's silly but functional, just like the bounce mode, the GLS. All right, a little more playing around now in the sand, and then we'll take this baby back out on the road and get back into civilization. Sand is probably where this thing is really going to spend a lot of its off-road time. Now, I will say, despite EVs being my preferred off-roading powertrain, especially for trail running, kind of in the woods, slower speed, rock crawling, that sort of thing, I will admit that it's a little bit less exciting when you're out here pooning it around in the sand to not have that grunt and character of the gasoline powertrain. I mean, especially when, you know, you got something like the G63 in the lineup as well. I know that if I were in that, I'd be revving it out right now and listening to that 4-liter, having a lot of fun. This is very capable, very peaceful, but in the sand, I'm not usually looking for peaceful the way I am in the trails. Woohoo! Get it, let's get some power going. Come on, baby. Yeehaw! Ah, this thing's fun. It really is. Okay, let's get back to civilization. I've been out here for well over an hour playing around, only dropped 8% state of charge. Not getting stuck. Very fun, very capable machine. Let's do one more of these climbs. It's always that last one, right? It's always that, well, let's do one more. That gets you in trouble, but we'll see what happens. This one's pretty steep. I don't know. Let's see what angle we get up to here. Oh, there's also a rock on the side of it right there. I gotta be careful for that. I see 41% our top. Oh, bring up the camera. Come on. Oh, okay, I think we're all right. Oh, get that up over. Come on. Yeah. Sweet. Let's go back down this other side, too. This looks gnarly. I love the throttle control. Yep, there it is. Just like that, ladies and gentlemen. let's talk about what it's going to be like driving this back. And I don't want this to be seen as sort of a negative Nancy, EVs are terrible for road tripping sort of video. Because I'm going to get, again, right out in front of it and just say, this is not an ideal road trip sort of vehicle. If you're planning on doing big miles, you're going to have to be charging a lot. There's no getting around that. But I still want to cover it because if you want to take something like this to go do off-road trails, then it's going to be relevant to know what it's like taking it on the go. And I will say that so far we have done, if we leave our off-road screen, get back to our normal classic gauge cluster, we have done 367 miles, 7 of those being off-road. We have averaged 5.58 watt hours per mile. I believe if we convert that to miles per kilowatt hour, we're looking at about 1.9, maybe 1.85 or so. And been in the saddle for 8.5 hours. Quite a lot of time already, considering we've still got at least 5 hours or so to go. During that time, I have charged twice. And admittedly, once I rode this thing really far down. We got to, sorry Mercedes, 2% state of charge because I was thoroughly doing that on the way out and decided we could make it to the charging station in Baker. So we made it from Irvine with 95%, swung up into Downey, and then made it down to, all the way up I should say, to Baker, pulled in with 2% state of charge, filled it up to I think about 90% state of charge, and cruised into Vegas about 35%. I wanted to charge at my hotel, but unfortunately all of the chargers were taken up, so I had to charge this morning, and I actually swung into a Tesla supercharger. Now, the Mercedes vehicles offer NACS, North American Charging Station, support, and Mercedes will give you an adapter, but if you don't have one, or if you want a spare, you can use the one I use, and that is the one from Lectron. And this is more than the first time that this Lectron charger has saved our butt. Not only has it saved us, but the Tesla charging experience is still better than just about every other charger out there. When I used the Electrify America charger in Baker to charge this up, I tried using my Electrify America. Oh, we need to get this out of low range. I just forgot. We are still in. Actually, I believe we can shift to neutral and then press low range, right? Low range off. Engage drive range. Okay, that's easy. Very nice. Put it back into drive, and we are off. And we can go back out of rock trail and up into comfort. Anyway, when we use the I also got to turn off. There's a fake noise that you can have enabled. I think it's called G something or other. G noise. G roar sound experience. Let's get that off. Okay, when I use the Electrify America charger, I charged with my account, and it didn't give me any sort of charging information in the app. It didn't tell me my vehicle's state of charge or anything like that. Not to mention, it's still a clunky app interface. Even though Electrify America has been around for as long as it has, it's still not a nice application to use. However, when using the Tesla app to charge, I simply plugged it in, used the Lectron adapter, and then I selected the stall that I was at, pressed start charging, bada bing, bada boom. Not only did it start charging my credit card, but it also told me how much energy had gone in, what my vehicle's state of charge was, how much I had paid so far, all right within the app. Very nice to have that. And that, along with the abundance of North American Charging Standard, NACS chargers, and the fact that they're typically in a nicer place with more stalls, are all reasons why I prefer to use Tesla chargers when I'm on the go, as opposed to any of the CCS1 chargers. So I highly recommend picking up some sort of adapter. If you want to pick up a Lectron adapter and support the channel, get a little discount, check the link below. We've got a discount code in there. It should be Daily Motor, and you can pick one up for yourself. As you can see here, it worked quite well. On the road, at highway speeds, there certainly is no ignoring the G580's proportions and body shape. Now, they have done some moderate tweaks in order to make the electric version a little bit more aerodynamically friendly than the gas. However, this is still essentially a rolling brick. and it has some of the lowest efficiency numbers for electric vehicles according to the EPA. Now, that being said, I appreciate that Mercedes-Benz has put a fairly large battery pack in here. It's got 116 kilowatt hours, so despite this not being very efficient, you can still squeeze 200 miles out of it, even at highway speeds. That's what I've been able to do on this trip. Now, you look at a vehicle like the ID Buzz that we just had recently, that is also not particularly aerodynamic, but it is more aerodynamic than this. It is more efficient. However, it has a significantly smaller battery pack, only 86 usable kilowatt hours out of that 91 kilowatt hour pack. So therefore, you're not able to go as far in the ID Buzz despite it being more aerodynamics. Now, there's other EV off-roaders like the Hummer that just simply throw a giant battery pack in there, 200 kilowatt hours depending on your spec, and that does allow you to get very far. Now, mind you, it's still going to cost a lot to charge it up, so it is possible. I'd have to look at the efficiency numbers. Maybe the Hummer would have been more expensive to take on this trip. However, I also would have been able to stretch my charge further and do more charging at less expensive charging stations. When you're having to use superchargers or other level 3 DC fast chargers, that's where the pricing really gets you. And that's one of the reasons the G580 has been so expensive to road trip. Despite it being expensive though, this is a fairly nice place to be. Now, compared to some of the other $180,000 interiors that you can get from Mercedes-Benz, you're not getting quite as many features. A lot of that dollar figure for the purchase price of this G580 is going into that off-road prowess that you just saw, which is why we started the video there. But this is still getting you heated and ventilated seats with massage functionality. You're still getting a Burmester 3D surround sound audio system. If you want to see a dedicated review of that, check the link below. You are still getting very nice materials in here and a solid build quality. However, I have had a little bit of trouble with the technology and infotainment suite. So let's cut to a little bit of the footage I shot last night. I was planning on shooting the entirety of this G580 road trip review tomorrow in the daylight, fresh set of eyes, fresh brain, and fresh interesting things to say. Now, throughout the drive out here to Las Vegas, there have been little annoyances in the car, but every vehicle that we test has some pros and some cons and good things and bad things that you sort of make note of throughout your week with the car and then summarize at the end in a video. However, it is now crossed the threshold of annoyances to downright unacceptables. Here I am cruising along 270 some miles into the trip, and all of a sudden the car slams on the brakes because of the regen and says system unavailable, the sensor is dirty. And for a second I thought, oh, it just means the active lane keeping is unavailable or something. That's unfortunate, but not the end of the world. No, my whole cruise control is no longer working. So here I am, still about 25 miles out from my destination. Oh, active distance assist now available. Okay. Huh. So now we're in business again. So essentially I just had to go about 5 minutes or so without any sort of active cruise control. And mind you, look at it outside. There's nothing to get the sensor dirty unless I hit something and there's actually something on my grill, and if I get to a stop and see that, then I will not post this video. But that just adds to the frustrations that I've been having, kind of little ones building up with this infotainment system and the car's general driving system. For a while, I didn't have any active lane keeping, and it looks like we're still in that situation. I don't think it's because there's some construction around. The system just seems to be going in and out. Again, maybe something is blocking the sensor around the car. I'm not quite sure. The screen is too bright. This is it on, let's see, maximum brightness here, and this is minimum brightness. And here I am driving through the desert. I would like it to be so much dimmer. It's very harsh on my eyes right now. Now, another problem I've had throughout the drive. The system cannot support Android Auto's wireless music bandwidth. I don't know what the issue is, if it's a Wi-Fi issue or something with the head unit. I'm fairly certain it's not my phone. It's a Google Pixel 9 Pro, and I use it on every single press vehicle that we get, and I play an entire hour's worth of music on every fuel economy test. So I know that my phone shouldn't be the issue. But what's happening is I play a song, and every 30 to 60 seconds it skips, almost like you're listening to an old CD player and there's a skip there. So I don't know what the deal is. I ended up having to go back and just listen to music on normal Bluetooth and not use my Android Auto. So I don't know what Mercedes is doing, but for a $180,000 car, they've got to get their act together with the technology, because it's tainting the drive. So far today, we seem to be okay. We'll see as we get going further down.
How can I help?
Also, that is cancel. Cancel. That is something you might want to turn off, depending on what sort of words you like to say inside your car. This does have a hot word. If you say hey and then the brand of the vehicle, it does come on, or maybe other words that sound similar to that. But anyway, throughout the rest of today, you'll kind of see what it's like taking this on. I think we got about 300 miles or so left to get home. So we do need to do a little bit of charging. So we're at 38% state of charge now. And then we're going to DC fast charge, hopefully at a Tesla supercharger in Barstow one more time. And we should be back to the Casa. Now this again, right here, this is an issue I've been having. You see we're cruising down this fairly visible section of road, and I don't have any sort of active lane keeping. I don't know why that is. I got the figures in gray, which means it's sort of in a standby mode. Oh, and then now it's green again. No sort of indication when that kicks in and kicks off. And part of me appreciates that, because I don't like the binging and bonging of a lot of semi-autonomous driving functionalities, but also it might catch you off guard if all of a sudden it simply stops working. So we've got about 20 minutes until our next charging stop. We're going to get this filled up some more and continue on our way. For those of you who haven't been here, the charging station in Baker, California is exactly what we would desire every electric vehicle station to be like. Now there are only, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Electrify America stalls, but you multiply that by 12 actually, because it's one on each side. So 12 Electrify America, and I don't know, maybe 80 different Tesla charging stations here. We got solar panels on the roofs, giving us some shade. It's about 85 degrees here in May, and not a fantastic place to go into and get snacks or food. There's a Jersey Mike's, a DQ, and 2 very poor bathrooms, but it'd be nice to see that improved a little bit more like a lounge. There's a good amount of food options. I actually walked down a little bit, got some okay Mexican food, and our G-Class is just about ready to continue its hike. Now I am going to do a little bit of a walk around. In here I got the air conditioning running inside. I want to see if any of our cameras are messed up or occluded or dirty or anything. I'm just not super happy with the consistency of the active lane keeping. It did dawn on me that this is possibly a pre-production vehicle. I'll confirm with Mercedes-Benz before this video goes up. So that could be sort of accounting for some of the weirdness we've encountered. But I think we're about ready to unplug and keep trekking. We are at 96% state of charge. We put in 100.4 kilowatt hours in 55 minutes. I did see this get right up near its stated 200 kilowatts maximum charging rate before I left. That was only at about 13% state of charge though, so I bet you it got above 200 or so, or 200 throughout the time that it was charging. And can't wait till we're all running on max ports. That's another advantage of using the Tesla superchargers, is the cable is easier to maneuver. Charging cables in the little spare tire of the G-Wagon. I think it's kind of cute. You can opt for an actual spare tire back there if you do plan on doing off-roading, but I know there's a clever place to put the charger. 97% state of charge. We have about 186 miles to get to where we're going. Car says we got 209 estimated based on the driving that we've been doing. Maximum 262 if we were to drive a lot more. Reasonably, I suppose, in terms of speed. And away we go. I gotta say, for being such a capable off-roader, the G-Class does ride and just drive pretty darn well. If you compare it to something like a Jeep or something like a 4Runner, I guess the only close competitor would be the Mercedes or the Lexus GX, but this is still definitely a class above that. We got fantastic efficiency on the way here from Vegas. A little bit of drafting, a little bit of selective driving, but mostly just downhill and wind at our backs. We might have some wind at our backs, and I know we have some elevation drop by the time we get back into Orange County. It's going to settle in about 70 miles per hour. I think 71 on the dash is giving us 70 on the GPS. We're going to cruise the speed limit and hope that the range guessometer proves to be in our favor. I'm going to reset the trip odometer from start. Oh shoot, did I get the wrong one? No. Okay, right here. Reset from start. Yes. Okay. We need that to be about, let me see, 96% state of charge times 2. That's giving us 90. I'd like that to be somewhere around 500 by the time we're getting into Orange County. If it's too close to 550 or 6, I don't think we'll make it. But fortunately, when we're going back into civilization, there are going to be plenty of places to stop and charge if we're running a bit short. Whereas coming out here to Baker, that's where it's dicey because there's nothing in either direction. I think it's about time to test out this Burmester sound system. So, onward we go. Just under 13 hours in the saddle and 650 miles completed here in the Mercedes-Benz G580 with EQ technology. I wonder why it's taken Mercedes so long to figure out how to name a car. I mean, they really had it down there for a little bit, and then for some reason they thought that with electric vehicles they had to do something different, I guess. But either way, I'm glad we're at least getting back toward just G580. That's a good start. And then, how about they just leave it at that? Just G580. Maybe G580 EV. I guess it would probably be helpful for people. But with EQ technology, nobody's saying that. You could even name it G580 EQ. But that's just kind of going to be confusing because people are going to be like, well, it's an EV, right? So what's an EQ? So anyway, from an efficiency standpoint, we are exactly where we needed to be, actually much better than we needed to be, coming in at just about 500 watt-hours per mile for the end of the trip here. Better than I expected. You can just never underestimate how much of a difference elevation is going to make, because we were way up about 600 just about an hour and a half ago, and then nice drop and a little bit of traffic as well has gotten us down to a very comfortable amount. We are going to get home with plenty of charge. Let's see if the active lane keeping works for us. Alright, it did enable right away. again, it's been hit or miss. I don't quite know what the deal is, and it is a bit frustrating when you're maybe looking at the infotainment and it goes out and you don't realize that it's gone out. You get yourself into a few sticky situations there. Sound system, pretty strong. You're definitely fighting a little bit of this extra wind and road noise, but the sound system is very powerful, so it can, as long as you're okay with loud music, it can overpower that pretty decently with some good fidelity. Again, check the link below if you want to see our full breakdown on it. I'm going to spend the rest of the week with the car. I've actually still got about 5 days with it or so. It was essentially dropped off yesterday, and then I headed out of town. And then I'm going to sort of give you my final thoughts as well as some pros and cons on the vehicle. I know this isn't exactly something that people really cross-shop, if you will. So a little bit more entertainment-based, but I don't know. It's end of the long day. I don't know if I want to say I'm definitely impressed with the off-road capabilities, and I suppose given the off-road capabilities, I'm impressed with it on-road as well. I mean, this is a car that I'm not desperate to get out of after all this time. It's just simply, I'm ready to be done, just the same way I'd be ready to be done after being in any car for this long. Over the whole trip, we averaged 526 watt-hours per mile, and I'll have to have a calculator in front of me to get the exact numbers, but if I'm not mistaken, that is right about what Mercedes estimates for the EPA mixed driving number for this car, about 239 miles. The fact that we've been doing that at mostly highway speeds, I'm pretty impressed, and that does mirror my experience. Oh no, don't do it. Don't do that. Oh my gosh. Whew. Come on, people. You can't do that. I know getting to the airport sometimes is a little tough, but you gotta just take the L if you miss your exit. All right. That's something that always satisfies me with German EVs, is they tend to underrate their range and still get their EPA estimated mixed driving figure, the one that's typically reported, even at highway speeds. So if you're just driving at mixed driving, you're actually probably going to get a little bit closer to a real world figure than some of the other brands. So I'm going to get back home, take a shower, get some more water, say hi to Alyssa, and then wrap up my thoughts with you at the end of the week. Back on tarmac and wrapping up my thoughts with the G580, and I'm conflicted about this one. On one hand, it's impressive how not only capable it is off-road, but also what a presence it has. I mean, the G-Class is fairly common here in Orange County, California, but it still demands my looks when I drive by them, especially if they're in a little bit more of a fun, unique color, a manufacturer color or something like that. And especially outside of this area, they're still very iconic, very recognizable. So I appreciate that something unique like this is still on the market, because it's so easy to just come in to one of these reviews and say, oh, this thing costs way too much for what it is, and you can have a GLS 63 for probably less money. I'd have to look exactly, see what a GLS 63 is. I would imagine about $150,000. It's going to be faster, more luxurious, larger, more comfortable, all of the things. But I like that it exists. I hate to say it, but it's just cool. And now the fact that it's electric makes it both better, but I'm trying to decide if that also makes it worse. Because the G-Class is the only model of Mercedes product that sells more AMG versions than the non-AMG. For a long time now, you've been able to get the G550, the base model, but people splurge for the G63, and when it was around, the G65 as well, more often. Because if you can afford an absurd vehicle like this, and you want to drive an absurd vehicle like this, why not make it as absurd as possible? And now that it's electric, it's so much better and nicer to drive in the real world. It actually makes for a pleasant car to be in and to spend time with. But then again, it's also lacking that pizzazz that the 4-liter V8 had in the 63. So it's really tough for me, because another solid door slam there. I have enjoyed driving this car around in both daily driving sort of situations and fun driving situations. But is that a good thing? I don't know. It's I guess really for you to decide. I do think ultimately it makes sense to have the electric version of this car. And I was torn because when I came to shoot this section of the review, I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe it was silly that I started the review off-road, because realistically, especially with this electric version, most people aren't taking this off-road. It's so much better now as a daily driver now that it's electric, because you can just plug it in at home, leave the house with a 90% state of charge wherever you choose to fill it up, and then go out and do your day-to-day driving and then come home. I mean, it's so good for that. And yes, the electric motors being on each wheel do make it that much better for off-roading as well. But again, are people going to care about that? How are they just going to care about that? The fact that I just rocketed up to 60 miles per hour and it was smooth, it was instant, it was quiet. If you do subscribe to the narrative that women are one of the primary buyers of G-classes, and I don't have data right in front of me, but anecdotally, a lot of people like to say that a lot of women like driving G-classes. I know from my wife, who is a woman, that she loves driving electric vehicles for the reason that she never has to go to a gas station. She loves how quiet it is. She loves how smooth it is. She loves having that power out of a vehicle that she's not used to having power out of. And the same is true mostly for the G-Class. Women would be able to get into this car and leave their house, full charge, do their driving, have a bunch of get up and go, have a bunch of power. They don't have to listen to that 4-liter make the sound of its people if they don't want to hear that, and then bring it home, plug it in, do the same thing the next day. So there is part of me from that core car enthusiast perspective that wants to poo-poo this vehicle and say, oh, well, you should only be buying it if you have a bunch of money and you want something to go play around with off-road, because that's what it's made for and that's what it's so good for, and it doesn't make for a good on-road vehicle because of how inefficient it is. But the soulful part of me wants to applaud the vehicle, wants to say, hey, it's cool. Who cares if most people aren't going to use it properly, and if it's got all this off-road capability, but yet most people are just going to drive it around for 20 miles at home and then plug it back in. I'm still glad it exists. Now, I have had quite a few issues with this car regarding the technology, and part of the reason I don't want to go through and do a full pros and cons review as I have with a lot of the most recent vehicles is because this is a pre-production model. I did confirm that. And so hopefully some of the software and charging issues that I've had are going to be remedied with a full production model. Now, that being said, something that I don't expect to be remedied is the fact that we are missing out on one-pedal driving. That is one of my favorite aspects of electric vehicles. And somebody in the comments for one of my recent German electric car reviews said something silly along the lines of, oh, we Germans, I don't even think he was German, I don't know. He said something about German cars don't screw around with one-pedal driving. And I just don't understand both the logic in his comment and then also the logic in Mercedes not including one-pedal driving with this car. Because it's a software tune. You just have to give us the option with software to have one-pedal driving. And I know that it's just software because this car already has automatic stop hold. So if I come to a stop and press my foot firmly on the brake pedal, then it holds the vehicle stop. So all you have to do is turn creep off, which some of the other Mercedes products can do, and then allow it to come to a full stop. Now, on that vein, it's not the most smoothly calibrated electric powertrain out there, especially when it comes to regen. The top-level electric vehicles at this point can hand off regenning so smoothly where I release my foot from the accelerator and then it gradually starts regen and then brings it stronger. Something about maybe the fact that we have multiple regen modes, I don't quite get it, but driving the G-Class around, the regen is not smooth the way it should be with an electric vehicle here in 2025. But all of that comes together into me not wanting to publish this as a conventional car review. Because the G580 is just cool. And if you like the G-Class and you also like electric vehicles, I appreciate that Mercedes-Benz has given people that option. And it's only going to further progress electric vehicle development. Mercedes EVs are going to get better. Other EVs are going to get better. The infrastructure is going to get better. It's yet another electric vehicle stepping stone in making cars better for us as consumers. So with that, we need to wrap up the review and put it on the Daily Motor leaderboard. Current leaders on the Daily Motor leaderboard: Hyundai Santa Fe, Jeep Gladiator, and Nissan Armada. Man, I can't believe I have the Gladiator so high up there. It is a cool car. I like that. Another car that's silly, but I appreciate. This one is going right here in 10th place, below the, well, no, actually it's going to go above the Subaru Forester Hybrid, below the Civic, 9th place. It's, like I said, it's not good in a lot of aspects, but it's good that it exists. Ooh, a little blowy today. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the G580 with EQ technology, check the link below, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.